Welcome to the Vision Profiles podcast. Join us, two dedicated Apple Vision Pro users, as we dive into everything from hardware and software to apps and the latest updates in the world of Apple Vision Pro. I'm Marty Jencius, a faculty member at Kent State University, a podcaster, and an avid Apple product fan.
And I'm Eric Bolden. I work in IT, but my interest is in finding ways to share content, currently photography of plants, birds, and panoramic sequences, and hopefully soon video.
Yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about video. I threw some things in, an app in that I found that I hadn't heard of before about video and 3D video, and tried a little of it out. So that'll be in our app section near the end of the program. We'll talk about some interesting apps. This week for me was having gone to the optician, I get.
Optometrist or ophthalmologist?
Yeah, ophthalmologist, optometrist, eye doctor. Because of the diabetes thing, I get a checkup every year, which means I get a new prescription every year. And I had the unique task of trying to explain to her, I need to have Zeiss lenses made. And she had never had that conversation before. So she did the usual stuff, and then I said, here's the thing. Usually I wear contacts for mid and distant vision, and then I'll slap readers on when I need readers for close-up work.
Yeah.
So if I'm at home, I have a set of readers I put on because I'm not going anywhere. I don't need to put contacts in. So I wear some readers for that purpose. But if I am going somewhere, if I'm driving or going to campus, I will have contacts in, but then I have a different set of readers. So if you're watching this episode, these are sort of my fashion readers. These are the ones that I wear because I have contacts on underneath them. And then I have old cheapo, super reflective ones that I wear when I don't have contacts in. I'm not really good in figuring out this optical stuff in terms of +1.7, +1.5, and how the two numbers can add up to a completely distinct number. But that's the number that is used for creating the glasses that I wear when I have the contacts versus the cheaters that I don't wear that I wear when I don't have any contacts. So she did a very nice job of, once I explained it to her, and I said, I'd heard somewhere that the focal length was about 4 feet in front of you. So she took that into consideration, and she gave me 4 prescriptions, one for my contacts without any consideration for the Vision Pro, one for my glasses that I wear on top of the contacts, one for the Vision Pro if I'm wearing contacts, and one for the Vision Pro if I'm not wearing contacts. So I ordered all of those, and it wasn't until I started trying to figure this out that I needed new ones that I realized I thought I was wearing the cheaters every night when I put the headset on, but I was really wearing the prescription from last year. So I had 2 sets, and with 2 sets of them, I somehow got the prescription ones in, and that's what I've been wearing basically all year, because most of the time I'm wearing the headset, I don't have my contacts in. It's late at night or early in the morning. So the new lenses arrived, and I did this with the first set of lenses. You know, you've got these little black frames that they're in, the disc lenses. So I took a black Sharpie and I wrote RX on the prescription ones. Now, you can't really see it unless you take it and turn it and you see the light reflecting on the edge, and you can see that the shiny Sharpie thing that I left there. Well, then I went ahead and I was going to do it on the cheaters that I got, the cheater lenses that I bought, the readers, and realized when I looked at it very carefully, those numbers are engraved. So it's 2.0 to 2.7.
Yeah.
Last year I had 1.5s to 2s or whatever it was.
Mm.
So it's been an interesting week, needless to say, trying these things out. And I think finally getting in my head what my prescription connection and combination is for this device. It was fun to talk to the optometrist about it because she had never had somebody come in and request something like that for VR headsets. But she said, well, this is something I should learn more about. So we've got some folks in the I don't know if you have any experience with that or any comments with it.
Just that when I first ordered the lenses way back when the Vision Pro was first introduced, I don't think they had fine-tuned it quite yet, and the experience wasn't quite right. There was some blurriness, but I think that was a software problem. Because I tried at one point to reorder the lenses, but order them as like computer distance readers. That doesn't work. You really want your normal outdoor lenses prescription. And then if they need to tweak it, they can tweak it and adjust it. And that pretty much seems to work correctly now. Because
It's been a while.
I
Yeah.
was just gonna say the one I tried to adjust for that worked briefly, and then after the first software upgrade, that didn't help at all.
Yeah. I think the process for measuring them are different now than I recall from the original process. It's a combination of app and prescription, and using your phone to do um, again various kinds of things to check that out. So it was an interesting process to get set up and to do. And I'm going to enjoy them now that I know which ones go in when and how I can use them if I need them. They say if you have good contacts, you really don't need to put any inserts in. So I bought the readers and the contacts, which I might use, I might not use, but the prescription ones without the contacts work really well. We've got some folks in the YouTube chat, and we welcome you at youtube.com/@vision profiles if you want to join us anytime. While we're recording, we record on Mondays at 9 p.m. Eastern time. Cletus is in there, and I think we have a couple of more than a couple of more folks in watching us. So please join us if you want to, or you can pick it up on the back end through the podcast or through YouTube at any time. So we're going to cover some news. It's just you and me tonight. No guests. Daniel's, takes every other week off. So we've got, I think, some interesting things. Not a hell of a lot happened in the news media around Apple Vision Pro. But no new beta today. I don't know if they got Veterans Day off from betas. There were betas in other devices, but nothing for Vision Pro. And if you recall, we had betas released like 1 week after another. There wasn't the 2-week turnaround that we usually get with new betas. So maybe we're just on an off week this week.
Or it's a little slower. I think some of it is, who's testing and submitting bug reports.
Yeah, that could very well be it. You noted that there's a Mac OS 15.2 Beta 3, which came out.
That came out today. Mostly that was adding some MDM settings controls. So it didn't functionally change for most people, but it gave the ability to turn off some of the Apple Intelligence stuff if an organization doesn't want it.
Yeah, the other thing I saw on it was that there were some changes to Playground, that there were some, and I am trying to find a way that I could fall in love with Playground, and it's just not working for me. I can't get the pictures of the people that I want to be put in at the right age. Playground will make you look 20 years younger. I mean, that's the best thing you can say about Playground. And sometimes it's creepy because you look like a child in some of the renditions of it. And I have some pictures of my wife that are more recent. I'd like to try and do a image that involves her, but the only images I can find are where she had different hairstyles, or the only image that it accesses is images from when we first got married, or images from where she's had a different hairstyle. So, and then it makes her look 20 years younger, but with the wrong hairstyle. So there's absolutely no connection to the woman that I see now and am part of. So I was playing around with it because I wanted to send her one of those generated what are they called? They're Genmojis.
Yeah.
And just because she gets upset with those things, and I like to get her upset, but I couldn't create one that was a rendition that looked anything like her. So there's no fun in that. So yeah, I read that there was some improvement in that and some things that were part of that. I didn't have enough time to play with Playground after I did the upgrade on it, but I'm still not impressed.
Yeah, it's not something I've done any playing with yet, and I don't know if I will.
Have you been playing with the ultrawide? Cletus he says he hasn't done this yet. Have you been doing much with ultrawide?
It is so nice. Like that is enough to justify the headset alone, even if you leave out media consumption.
Yeah. And we
And the
have an
only
article.
oh,
We
I
have
was gonna
we
say
have
the only oh
I was going to say we have an article that mentions that suddenly now it's the device to buy. Now the 2.2 has happened. But go ahead.
well, so two things. One, sometimes the ultra wide is too wide, but there's like a medium setting, so you get kind of a regular display, a little bit bigger, and then ultra wide. And depending on what you're doing and how close the screen or how far away it is, it can be a real chore to move your head from one side to the other. So occasionally a little smaller screen actually is better. But if you've got, stuff set up in, like working things in a couple different screens, then a swivel chair, really nice. Because then you can have your keyboard and everything else and be typing, and you just turn and you see that expanse, and then turn over here and you get this
Oh,
expanse. Yeah, it's good.
I
Uh,
have got a show title. The show title is "It Can Be a Real Chore Moving Your Head from One Side." Tonight I started playing around with it because we had some text messaging back and forth, and I was going to see if I could get the iPhone mirroring. And I ran into the same problem that you did when I was able to connect my studio and also my MacBook. I tried it on both, and all of them are on the same Wi-Fi network. They have the right chip, and they're running the same betas. I still had that error that said, I forget what the error code was you sent, but it was basically it crashed. It wouldn't allow me to do it. When I took the iPhone mirroring out of it, it worked fine.
yeah.
So the idea of being able to mirror your iPhone to your Mac screen and then put that into the Vision Pro just doesn't seem to connect well with it.
Who's not yet?
This is embarrassing to say, but when I did get the Ultra up, when I did get the Mac Virtual Display up, in the past I had gotten to the panoramic, sort of the widescreen, the ultra wide. I don't know if it was actually the ultra wide, but this time I noticed at the top of the screen that was up was a little button that said Mac Virtual Display. And that's what you click on to get your choices of the standard, medium, or ultra wide. And I clicked on the ultra wide and it was like, oh, wow.
It's like whoosh.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
nice.
yeah, very nice. So, now that I think I know where to find things again, I will start playing with it more. But the buzz on it has been really good since last week when it first started and came out. Yeah, Cletus, he says now he's going to do the update tonight. So look for those things in terms of everything being on the same Wi-Fi network, that you've got the right version of the software or the beta running to make sure that works. And then don't do what I did. Look for the little button on top of the screen that gives you the option to go ultra wide and have some fun with it. Some forecasts Nothing really new here under forecasts and rumors. Talking about when Vision Pro 2 is coming out. I'm still having a hard time figuring out, and this was a report in 9 to 5 Mac based on what Gurman had spoken about in his news daring fireball, I guess, newsletter, that it doesn't look as if we're going. It doesn't look at, or there supposedly is going to be a Vision Pro 2, and it will come out in late 2025 or in early 2026, and it will contain an M5 chip. There's another article in there in the grouping, and all of these things will be in the show notes, whether you're on the podcast or on YouTube. There's another article in there from 9 to 5 Mac calling upcoming M5 Vision Pro creates a unique dilemma for Apple. The dilemma being there's a bunch of people who spent $3,500 on the device 18 months, and you're going to throw an M5 in it now. And your reaction?
It works well. Now that I can use it as a large screen, I don't really care. They could come out with a newer, faster device that adds more stuff, but media consumption, that's kind of cool. Being able to see my panoramic images, that's kind of cool. But being able to have a large virtual display that actually works, is relatively light, that I can take with me, yeah, that makes it worthwhile right there. Now, I have noticed that the large or the ultra wide virtual screen is enough of a difference that I'm starting to see messages about how to search for and find used Apple Vision Pro equipment to see if you can get it at a discount. I mean, there's always some risks with that, but the interest is there. People are going after that, and it's almost good enough. I kind of wonder if there will be a gap between, availability of the current device and when a new device is available.
Yeah,
They might actually run out.
Yeah, I have an article on here that is actually not an article, but it's a review. It comes from 9 to 5 Mac Overtime, episode 033. A premium VR headset with average performance. Oh no, that's not it. Sorry. M4 Mac Mini and Vision OS 2.2 beta, where they talk about how in this podcast, how having OS 2.2 beta has made the product viable again. And they suggest it's still good. If you can find one that's a little discounted price, then go for it. So it's interesting how tunes have changed, at least with the Mac, with 9 to 5 Mac, have changed in terms of towards the positive on the device based on the software and the software capabilities. So,
well, and realistically, if you ever have to travel or travel somewhat regularly, there's no way you're going to be packing up an ultra wide display and carting it around to wherever you're going, unless it's for like an extended trip. This is a nice way around it.
yeah.
Get your comfortable display, and I can almost see myself maybe just carting around my new Mini along with my Vision Pro and a little external battery to keep everything running. So in a future week, I will test that out.
So you're going to take the Mini, turn it on somewhere because it's not battery powered, so you're going to have to plug in. And
I already have a battery adapter with a plug in it and a USB-C charging port, so I can have them both running at the same time.
Oh, so you're thinking of your power pack that you've shown? What's the name of it? Sorry to put you on the spot there, but
sure. It's a Milwaukee Tools battery pack and charging. I can't remember the exact name, but I'll look for it and then you can put it in the notes.
Okay, and you actually can plug in your Mac and it runs as a portable power device for it.
Yep. And you can get a bunch of different sizes of batteries, so you can last as long as you want.
Yeah. So that you're going to test that out as travel rig. Yeah, I have to think about that. because of travel. There's part of me that really wants to take my new Mini with me at the risk of being able to plug it into a television set in a hotel room. And that varies. Sometimes the plugs are really available, and sometimes they're flush against the wall and you can't get back there to plug things in. I'm doing a Thanksgiving trip, so most likely I'll take that and see if I can make it work wherever we go. And then have, backup because we're driving. I don't have to worry about lugging stuff around. So, other articles related to Apple's smart glasses still at least 5 years away. I know you're disappointed in that. This was a Mac Observer article, and really a little kind of strange because they hinted in that article that Apple's all on it now because Meta had come out with their glasses. Yeah, they didn't mention that, and that $3,500 is too expensive for a headset. And Meta's come out with glasses, so now Apple doesn't want to be beaten to the punch. Well, Meta's glasses currently are 10K in cost, so I don't think Apple's worried about being beaten to the punch with a 10K instrument, particularly when Meta dropped their 1K headset, and they're now doing 500 sub 500 cost headsets. So I'm sure Apple is busy looking at a variety of head glass sets. They mentioned, maybe it was in this article, or yeah, it was in this article, that they sort of have a team that's looking, and you imagine every day they get boxes of new AR, VR glasses, and then the team puts them on and tries them and figures out what are we going to consider using, what are we not going to consider using, examining these smart glasses for what it is. So yeah, just interesting that they're talking about glasses again, and they're saying it's probably not going to be another 5 years till Apple comes out with a model that works with glasses, according to Mac Observer. An article here on productivity, and it comes from 9 to 5 Mac, and the new Apple Vision Pro study reveals promising performance in radiology. The title is a little misleading because it basically was a study. They gave radiologists, or let me get this, were equipped with Apple Vision Pro headsets, tasks with using Visage Ease VP app to review 100 CT scans to detect diverticulitis. It was compared to other docs who were looking at it on flat screens. I don't know enough about CT scans to say whether or not they have, I imagine they have the capability of being three-dimensional, but if they're only looking at flat images, they're only getting 2 dimensions anyways. The article goes on to say, this has some possibilities in the future of being able to, well, if the data's there, I guess if the app was correct, they could be able to look at more dimensional views of it, or maybe they did, I don't know. It was not very clear the difference between what they were seeing in the Apple Vision Pro headset versus what they're seeing just on the screen. But the study revealed no significant difference in performance between radiologists using Apple Vision Pro versus those using a desktop. So, which is a little bit surprising. They did say that the radiologists kind of dug the headset. They enjoyed it, and they enjoyed using it, but not any significant difference. But it opens the door to 3D visualization in radiology in the future. So I would have liked to have seen them be clear on whether the radiologists with this app, and there is a link in the show notes, or in the article, that takes you to the app. And again, it is the Visage Ease VP. And I'll throw this link in the show notes so you can go to the app. And it looks like it has the capability of looking at live scans, sonograms, or those kinds of, as well as CT scans.
Well, and that it sort of makes sense because the first thing you have to do is show that if you switch to a different type of screen, that you're not getting worse results than if you stay with the technology you already have, which then opens up the possibility to, to try some new things because you still can do the old way. And then if you add on, some 3D visualizations, that's just on top of what you already have, but it's not worse. And I didn't see what they were using for displays, but a lot of times those radiology displays are really nice displays, very high resolution to be able to see all the detail. So the fact that the Apple Vision Pro gave similar results is actually, a good thing.
Yeah, they do mention the in the app description. They mentioned that it allows, of course, for 4K resolution, but they didn't describe what the real setup was on the desktops and what
Well, and
screens.
and they did describe a little bit of the difficulty because they're saying, well, everybody was viewing it from a different distance, which means your actual resolution varied a whole lot. Whereas if you're wearing the Apple Vision Pro, it's going to be pretty much the same resolution for everybody because the distance doesn't change.
Yeah, and Cletus, who I know is kind of connected to this from his employment, um, says that I think they do slices of stuff and they can flip into different views. AVP should be better. It should be better with the Apple Vision Pro. So that yeah.
Cletus did mention that was the Milwaukee Tools, the power inverter, and he says
Okay.
it's on sale.
As to your in reference to the power
Yeah, it's
supply
going
that
back.
you were talking
Sorry.
about, yeah.
Yeah.
That's okay. So yeah, some promise in radiology. We've already talked about some of the things it can do. Let's do a review. Let's do a review of and talk a little bit about the HTC Vive Focus.
Hmm.
I mean, that is a butchered name meant to draw whatever you can from the Vision Pro title with it. So here we go. It is a new headset, the HTC Vive Focus, and the Vive Focus Vision. It's $9.99, and it is not. And Gadget does this review, and it's not exactly a glowing review. It has some concerns. The first concern they talk about is it's still running a 2020 version of a processor, and they would think that a new device just released would have a better processor in it. Small library of titles, and for $1,000, it should have more. It uses also Fresnel lenses. If I remember correctly, the Vision or the Meta SE or whatever the latest version of Meta, the reduced price Meta, is also now using Fresnel lenses. So a little surprise there in terms of that. And then some of the pros is it's a good build quality. So it's plastic, it's light, but it's still a very good build quality and is a comfortable fit. There is a piece of technology that I think is pretty cool. I wished we had this in Vision Pro. Hot swappable battery, which means the device has a battery in it that has just enough charge and will hold, they say, 20 minutes of charge. So when your battery that's attached is running out of power, you can take that off and you have essentially 20 minutes to put another one on to run off the battery. Whereas we have to boot down with it and to be able to swap out batteries right now with the AVP. Not a lot of
plug a charger in.
What'd you say?
The alternative is to carry an extra battery charger,
to plug into the battery.
To plug in to charge the battery. And that kind of works. So you get some time where you can wander around without attached to wires and then come back and then plug into some sort of charging unit.
Yeah, I brought a I think it was maybe 100-watt charging battery with me when I went on a flight. So when my battery depleted, I also had a second battery, and I was just basically hot swapping it out between movies. but it would allow me to plug into the battery and kind of daisy chain the battery to be able to maintain charge or charge it while it was being discharged. Yeah, it is a not very complimentary article in a lot of ways, other than the build, which they seem to like, the hot swapping battery, which they seem to like, the fact that the battery pack is in the back, so it counterbalances and counterweights the headset itself. Not big on the library of possible apps and basically games. It's not apps, it's a gaming machine. They also say that in order to do live streaming of the game that you're playing, you have to buy a $150 adapter. That is basically a cable that then goes into your laptop or desktop to be able to do the live stream. So they felt that was sort of added insult to injury that you were charging $9.99 for it, then you're asking another 150. I just don't know what the market is for these. I mean, if I'm going to game, what do I get out of this that I don't get out of a Meta? The Meta has a much bigger gaming library. They're not talking about great differences in resolution. The comparisons they make is to the Meta 2, not the Meta 3 or the Meta SE. So I don't know where where folks look at this and go, this is the headset I'm going to decide on to get. $500 more than a Meta, obviously $2,500 cheaper than a Vision Pro, but I don't know. I just don't know.
Well, I'm at
We'll
least
put the
glad to
art.
see some additional attempts coming out.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's nice to have a lot of things to choose from in the market. Even though you're going shopping, you're probably going to pick one or two of them.
Yeah.
But it helps define the market in different ways. So let's talk about, and you sent me this. I follow a lot of stuff on Reddit, and for a lot of reasons, but particularly the Vision Pro stuff that's on Reddit, just to kind of get the vibe of what's going on there. And somebody posted a picture that I guess was taken from another source. So it wasn't an original picture because the picture showed, and we'll put the link in to Reddit, that it showed a marshmallow case, the Apple Vision marshmallow case, and in the middle where the bag usually is, the little drawstring bag, they had placed a Mac Mini in it, and Eric's showing it.
Pull the bag out and then the mini
Yeah,
in the space inside.
yeah. Actually, I'd probably try and fit. Can you fit the Mini in the bag, or is the bag too small?
Bag is too small.
Yeah, I'd want some protection around the Mini.
Mini is built like a tank.
Yeah. So what's currently in your bag, or what's in the little drawstring bag? What do you carry with it with the marshmallow?
Excellent question.
Thanks.
I carry the single
The
loop
strip.
band,
Yeah.
a little desiccant. Really, I just didn't take it out, and I didn't notice until now. There's a couple parts. I have a couple of alcohol wipes in case I'm sharing and need to wipe off of the the little head cushion thing. Yeah, there's nothing in the bag that has to come with. It's just in there because it keeps things from shifting around in the marshmallow.
Yeah, and it also is a place that you can put those things. I have whatever in the bag. I have a charging block with that came with the Vision Pro with a cable to attach as a charger if I need it. Generally, I'm carrying it with some other device, so I have the charging cable and I have a GAN multiple plug device that I can plug stuff in. So the charging device, the cable that comes with it, the other strap that I'm not using, and I bought a small little handheld keyboard that Bluetooth's in that I can use if I want to use it. Since I bought it and tried it, I have never used it. So but it travels with me for some reason. And I will take I have a little foldable lens pouch where I will put the lenses in the bag and in the foldable pouch and then put it in the bag. All of that, or most of that, I could live without if you think about it. in terms of, but I would like to have, I'd probably put the mini in some kind of bag just to keep it from bouncing around inside the device or inside the bag. So we have that link. The person owned up to it, says, no, they're like, you've got a mini? And it's like, no, the mini hadn't been released yet. They hadn't, it was going to be like in the stores the next day. Person, no, I just took this picture, but I think it's a great concept. And we'll have that link to the Reddit feed on that for folks that are interested in seeing that and maybe considering it. The Belkin travel bag was launched this last week. What'd you think?
It's smaller than the Marshmallow.
And I'm going to look. It is smaller than the Marshmallow. When I travel, I've not been taking the Marshmallow with me. I'm using another bag, whereas Belkin is what, 99 bucks, and which they say is $100 cheaper than the Apple travel case. That's true. It's smaller. It's 9 inches by 8 inches by 5 inches. The one that I use is again sort of the same shape as the Belkin, and it's 8.5 by 4.5 by 8.5. And it's a small square bag. I'm going to find the name of it. Probably shouldn't be doing this while we're recording a live show, but
well, I'd stop by the Apple store to see if they had any of the Belkin head straps or travel bags in the store, and nobody in the store had seen one yet. So it's announced, but it doesn't seem like it's available anywhere yet.
Yeah, the straps, I got excited about the straps because why not? And went to, read all these articles about it. You can purchase it, you can order it today and you'll have it in 2 days. Well, by the time I ordered it, you'll have it sometime in the beginning of December.
It'll be here by this time next year.
The case that I was going to suggest, and I will also put this in the show notes, is a Eucarlos, EUCARLOS. It's a hard carrying case compatible with a MetaQuest 3S, Quest 3, Quest 2, Vision Pro, and VR gaming headsets and touch controllers. And it's $22. And it's a little bit smaller. It just happens to fit into nicely, well, securely into a Nomad case that I carry and I have other stuff in. So when I travel, that's my carry-on. So when I get on the plane, if it's Vision Pro time, I'm not carrying on 2 separate bags and trying to work around it. I just zip open the end of the Nomad, pull out the smaller Eucarlos case and put the Nomad up top, and then the Eucarlos case with my Apple Vision Pro goes at my feet, and I can use it as I want to use it for entertainment. But the insides look very much like what you would see inside the Belkin case. Little half-inch shorter on each one. Of course, you have to take the straps off in order to be able to pack it and deliver it. Pack it and be able to get everything in there. It's got a pouch on the top of the shell of the case that you can put things in if you want to carry your battery pack in there to protect it from banging around on it. And there's space for you to keep your cover on the front end of the Vision Pro as a protection. So,
and then for those of us who want to go overboard, I carry around a Land's End case. Like a big, and it's big enough that I can put the whole Marshmallow case inside of it, and I can store the keyboard, the trackpad, the lenses, miscellaneous cables, cleaning cloth, the whole bit. So but that's what I use for kicking around daily for a car commute. I'm not getting on an airplane. I'm just getting in a car, driving to another location, and then hauling in and out. And it adds just a little extra protection. It keeps the white Marshmallow from getting totally grimy.
Dirty. Yeah, that's the thing. Mine hasn't gotten dirty. It hasn't left the house, really. It goes from upstairs to downstairs occasionally. Now I have I don't know what you call it. It was on I found it. It was basically a 3D printer produced rack that you can put your headset on, and I have it behind me on the table with a tray for charging the battery. And now when I take it, I go downstairs and take the battery with me and then bring it back up and set it out. I also saw an aluminum one that does that basically is a stand that looks pretty cool, and it's $30 on Amazon. Yeah, Gern, who's in the chat room, said he has one of the Carlos, and really likes it. He says the case is amazing and small. So, and Cletus is looking for the link for it. So let me go back to Amazon and put the link in the chat room for him. Now, I still have to treat it very, very kindly because I don't want to. Oh, the link is so long it won't let me do it in the chat. So sorry there, Cletus. It's the Carlos carrying compatible controllers accessory case. I mean, if you just search for Carlos Vision Pro case, it'll show up. You'll see what we're talking about. So now I've got the notes in the chat room all. So Belkin's come out with a new case. As you know, we've come out with a new strap, or they've come out with a new strap, and we'll see how that says. Another thing in the chat room was that Gern said he ordered the Belkin strap. They said it would be delivered by November 21st. So I have to remember when mine is. It might be, I think I went ahead and pushed the button on it because I'd like to have the strap for Thanksgiving, because I'll be taking my headset with me for Thanksgiving, and it would be good to have that with me with Thanksgiving. I'm a little curious because it looks like it's one of those adjustable things where you have, you can loosen or tighten it, and it looks like it's going to require two hands to do it. The thing that I like about the two-strap headgear that we have that's offered is it's Velcro, so you can reach up without thinking, pick it up, tighten it, or pick it up, loosen it, whatever you need to do. If it has these sliding pieces that you have to extend or shorten, it makes it a much more difficult proposition to get it settled right. So, and Gern says similar to the Spigen strap. So, we'll see how it turns out with that. There is an interesting article, I thought, on the concept that the Apple Watch and the Vision Pro fabrics may get embedded with medical sensors. And this comes out of Apple Insider, and they are speculating, looking at some of the patent stuff that's come out, that the watch bands, and we've already seen this, the capability of maybe the Apple Watch bands having medical sensors in it to add to whatever is on the watch in terms of the optic sensors, but also the capability of having it within the headbands of the Vision Pro. So those, you think of things like EKG, EEG, in terms of brain activity or concerns about that sort of stuff, the possibility of having your headgear actually being able to register that, it just seems pretty exciting. And as long as I keep coming down with illnesses, I'll have more excuses to buy the newest product. And then they talk about how it has to be configured to manage high temperatures, like laundering and of clothing and things like that. Hot water and dried clothes in the dryer without damage. It's just really interesting that, they thought that in order to do some of the things they needed to do things like blood sugar, and that they would have to get really invasive or start to connect to the typical devices. I wear a Libre 2, and I can get it on my phone and through the app, and then that goes into the health app. But you get even less invasive ways of checking blood sugar could be possible using fabrics and using attachments, the things that we use to attach these devices to us already. So, and I think that's it for sort of news. Just a reminder, you can follow the live stream on YouTube at youtube.com/@visionprofiles, Monday nights at 9 p.m., or catch the video later on YouTube or the audio on any podcatcher service. I'll produce these tonight before I go to bed, so by midnight they should be up and running for folks that want them. If you happen to miss the live show and the live viewing that's going on. Let's talk about apps. Is there something that we missed?
I added something under apps when we're done with the other ones, but I think we got everything.
Yeah, okay. Because you and I have been playing around with stuff this week. You're doing probably more with the ultrawide than I have, and maybe still doing stuff with video. I want to go to one of the apps, Screenlit, which there is an app that you're probably familiar with called Moon Player.
Yeah.
And Moon Player supposedly plays two-dimensional and three-dimensional videos, but you have to convert them to some format or some process. And I was reading because there was a request in Reddit. Is there an app that will do the conversion from 2 to 3D? And what do you recommend? And somebody said Moon Player, but then somebody else said Screenlit. And I was not familiar with Screenlit. And so I downloaded it earlier today and just a couple hours ago. And when I got into it, of course, it's not a subscription, which I'd much rather just pay for something and not have to be locked into a subscription. But they have two different kinds of plans past the trial. I think you maybe have 2 days on the trial. One plan is a basic plan for $9.99, and then the other one is kind of a more advanced plan for $20. And so I went ahead and got the $20 one, and frankly was remarkably surprised on how well it did. Now, you were at MacStock, so you saw and Gern is talking about how good the 3D live conversions are with Screenlit. In MacStock, I did what was essentially a 2D video around the May 4th memorial here at Kent.
Yeah.
And so I grabbed that video. It's like, do you want to pull something from a file? And so I pulled it. It was like 180 megabytes total. And it took it less than a minute to convert it into a 3D. Some of the 3D generally was really good. There were a couple of photos that seemed like they had took out sections of people and left their arms back in 2D, but generally really good from the experience of doing that. So I'm curious about this app a little bit more. It's Screenlit. Of course, we'll have these links in. All of the links are going to be in the show notes. So if you want to check that out, and it's built, I believe, specifically and only for Vision Pro. Versus other platforms that are multi-platform, and some of that's good and some of that's bad. So if you're interested in 2D and 3D, yeah, take a look at Moon Player, but take a look at Screenlit because people kept talking about it in this Reddit thread.
I'll definitely look at that.
Call Sheet is an app that a couple of my friends love. I think it's like IMDb pretty much.
Faster.
But faster?
But much, much, much faster. Because if you quit out of IMDb and launch it again, you got to wait. And then sometimes you have to click through a couple of screens and then you can do your query. This comes up, you type your query, you're done. It shows you the information you want. So much, much faster without extra ads.
Yeah, I'm seeing some chat in the room. They're talking about they are talking about some experience with Screenlit, and if you get the advanced version of it, you'll see all sorts of options to turn things on. You can do ultra wide, full screen. You can do all sorts of fun stuff with it. But you can push it too far. And just get some crazy stuff. So my friends seem to love Call Sheet. I tried to find some basic stuff with it, and for some reason it gave me all of these. They're like trending movies, and they were nothing I ever heard about. So I don't know how trending they were, or maybe this was just where the services that they've been hooked into around these films, but they look like sort of B movies.
Well, see,
Whether
I
they're
usually use it when I'm watching a movie that I don't know anything about. So it comes on, I know the title, I don't know anything else, or I can't remember who any of the people are. And that's when I've had to go to IMDb to look it up and why I get
right.
annoyed because I'm pausing the movie and then wading through ads and whatever else to actually get to the query to get to the result. This is just sitting there. You pop it up, you get,
Yeah.
who everybody is. It's convenient. So, yeah. I
Yeah.
guess I looked at it once and didn't realize how useful it was. And then you put it on here. And I was like, oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, I was thinking the exact same thing because I'm going through some stuff, mainly on Apple TV. Now, some of the Apple TV stuff is going to be integrated with, links that you can open up information on what's going on the screen in the moment. They'll say,
yeah.
here are all the actors that are on the screen. Here's their background and stuff. So I like, I like the idea of having a separate window open over to the side that if something tickles my fancy, I can go and I can search for what's going on. Now, typically,
Yep.
if I'm not watching it on my headset, I'm watching it on one of the three screens I have. And my kick is to go in and read the trivia about films. So I was watching What's Up Doc last night, Peter Bogdanovich film, absolutely hilarious, funny, and very much tribute to some of those old 40s slapstick comedies. But looking at the trivia that goes along with the film was while watching the film for me was pretty cool. So having this as a side support for information, and then I also right now looking at Star Trek: Strange New Worlds. So jumping in and out of Call Sheet for information on that while I'm watching it on the screen is pretty cool. And I haven't tried to do anything with IMDb in my Apple Vision Pro. Do they even have an app?
There's an
Or is it
iPad
just,
app.
it's an iPad app that's been
Yeah.
ported
Or
over.
what I
Yeah.
usually end up using is, looking through it to my phone and pulling it up on the phone while
Yeah.
I'm. So
Yeah.
my other reason for liking Call Sheet.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
just there.
Another one I want to mention is perspectives. It's a to-do list. For me, I spend more time being a junkie for to-do lists than doing what's on the to-do list. So I have probably this caught my eye because of what I saw in terms of interest in it. At one time, I guess I actually purchased it, and because it was an automatic download for me. It also comes on multiple platforms, and that's essential for me with to-do lists, is that it has to be on multiple platforms. And it's not as complicated as something like Omni Planner or Omni Plan
Mhm.
or some of the Omni products that can get pretty getting things done focused to the point where you don't get anything done if you're constantly coding stuff. Uh,
Yeah.
that's so I just, it looks interesting. It does have project, so you can put things in projects and be able to then do tasks around those projects and across multiple platforms. So I'll play with it a little bit more than I have already. Opened it up and it was like, oh yeah, I get the interface. And you can see a little bit about the interface on the link that takes you to the apps store in Apple and learn a little bit about that. Do you use any to-do lists, Eric?
To-do lists stress me a lot. So no,
Why?
because I don't actually do anything until I've hit it like 3 or 4 times. It's like it comes up and it comes up, and about the third or fourth time, then I say, oh, okay, now I got to do that. I end up with hundreds of to-do. So my best to-do list is like a post-it notepad or a legal thing or just one of those college test books or whatever, where I just have stuff written down and then it might have a dog-eared page or something, and then I get to it eventually. If I actually have to maintain something and then keep track of it over time, I find that other comments make it into it that are not related to anything at all, like my shopping list. My shopping list has some movie things I want to do, a book I want to order, nothing to do with shopping. And then scattered somewhere on that list is three ingredients I need, and next time I go to the store, and I just, I find I would need like 100 different lists, and then I wouldn't remember which list I was trying to put something on, and then I'd put something on the wrong list, and then I'd start using that because that's where it was. Yeah, it just, and that
Yeah,
spirals out of
see,
control.
I separate my shopping lists from my to-do lists. And I know, like I guess notes or reminders now has those kind of capabilities where you can do grocery lists and isn't that great? I use a list called Any List just for groceries.
Hmm.
And it's shared with my wife and my daughter, and anybody can throw anything on it. And then the next person who goes to the store gets to use it, and it gets to empty it, and
Yeah.
it's on your phone. So, you're not walking around with a headset to do it with. And then, I've used things, I've used Todoist. I'm right now sort of on reminders as my to-do
Oh,
list, which is even less programmy. It's just a
yeah.
list I can throw things on ease quickly, which is the other problem is not having to, just I can do that through the S lady and get something on there. So when I look at it, it's there. It's like, okay, I got to do that. So,
And that
uh,
might be enough to get me to use something, is if I can talk to the S lady and have her add it and then have it go to the right spot and
yeah,
synchronize with the right people. So yeah, I might get there.
yeah. So Prospectus to-do list is what is the app. And then you had something you threw in there. Well, you did put in our show notes your portable power supply, so we'll have that in show notes for folks that are interested
Yep.
in that. But you sent me a picture of it. Were you doing Final Cut Pro with Mac Virtual Display, or did you find something in there? Find
No, that was
something
Final
about that?
Cut. That was Final Cut Pro with the Mac Virtual Display, the
And
ultra wide.
you were doing that? That was
Yeah, yeah. No,
that
I
came from
was
you? Oh,
editing. I had a short little view up a to a trail.
yeah.
I do like in different seasons and just capture a sequence and then put it out to a small list of people. So I put Final Cut Pro in there because it's supposed to get released maybe later this week with the ability to handle spatial video. So it's sort of a placeholder. But then I also put it in here because I had just picked up the one of the new Mac Minis and set it up so I could use a virtual display in the Apple Vision Pro from the Mini and with Final Cut Pro and go through and edit something, and it's clear. There's enough detail. I can see everything. I can, swipe back and forth. And for the kind of editing I need to do, it really does what I want. It gives me plenty of space to work. And since normally I'm working on like a 14-inch MacBook until I can get to someplace with a larger display, this lets me have enough room to actually edit without having to carry around a 16-inch machine or a separate display that I plug into.
I've heard people doing this on planes with Final
Mhm.
Cut. Like they're like, oh, I've got a
Yeah.
3 hour flight. I can do video editing. I'm like, really? The ultrawide makes it a little bit more tempting. And you're saying that they're gonna come out with a new version of it because I paid for it as part of the subscription model that they or you know I paid for it, so I get the updates through the Apple Store. So I should be seeing a version of Final Cut Pro showing up that will allow for spatial
Yeah. I'm
editing.
hoping by next week's show we could talk about it. So this is like a quick promo peek. It's something I
so,
hope we can do soon.
so where did you get the word that it might be coming out like now?
Where was it? You would ask me that question.
No, I mean, this
Um,
is not just, my question is, this is not just
there's some conference that's
wishful
coming up.
thinking on your part. What?
No, there's a conference coming up this week. Let's see. Uh, Let me see if I can find it. What would I call it? So I can't remember if this was a Reddit thread I followed or if it was actually published someplace. Uh,
Okay, I believe you.
oh, it was Mac Rumors.
Maybe I don't believe you now.
Well, I mean, they mentioned it already, right? that Final Cut Pro was going to be able to edit spatial video. So we knew that part. It was just a matter of trying to figure out, well, when. And because in June they talked about it.
Yeah.
Final Cut Pro Creative Summit begins Wednesday.
Oh.
So will it be out or not? I don't know, but maybe.
Final Cut Pro will support editing spatial videos later this year with the release of Vision OS. So I wonder if it's going to be December when they say these things will roll out of beta.
Could be. But I mean, I could see them at least demoing at a conference so we have a video to talk about.
Yeah, well, we'll see. This will be fun.
Yeah, something to look forward
to. I guess when it is possible, we'll hear about it through the channels, and then we'll pass it on to folks on Vision Profiles. So is that it for today? I think
so.
So we have a new project with Chuck Joyner of Mac Voices. We're panel members for both Mac Voices Live, which is how we know Chuck. And he's been kind enough to try and create some focus shows for us, Vision Pro Focus. And each of those shows that he produces, and we do it probably every month to 6 weeks, we'll produce a show around a particular topic. And we'll let you know when they happen here. And when they're out, we'll produce the audio of it as a supplemental show through our podcast series, and Chuck will do the video and the audio too, I believe, from his end. So look for that. Eric, it's always great to spend time with you. Each week, I get more surprised by the wonderful stuff that you've discovered through this that has kind of passed me by. So thanks for being a partner in this. And thank you for tuning in. We'd love to hear from our listeners. Again, the chat room is great. It's been really quite alive tonight with folks in the chat room, and that's nice. And I've been trying to respond. And when Eric's talking, it's not like I'm not listening to Eric. But the chat room has been great. You can join us on youtube.com/@visionprofiles on Monday nights from 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, or catch the video later on YouTube or the audio on podcast kinds of things. We'd love to hear from our listeners. If you have any ideas, you want to join us in an episode. We also like visitors, guests on the show. Email us at visionprofilespodcast@gmail.com. You can find out more about the show, including links, by simply going to thepodtalk.net. I've taken all the shows and put it under that umbrella, and we have a link with a series of pages on thepodtalk.net. Spread the word to other visionaries. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.